Hello, nice to meet you. I'm Sail, and I heard that you want to be a VTuber. Well, congratulations. This video is meant to be a guide for people who are starting out. If you've already been VTubing for some time, you'll probably know most of the things in this video, but maybe you'll find something helpful as well. Most of this is just based on my own experience and my experience talking with other VTubers since I've got met many friends since I started out in this community. So let's get started. So, why should you be an indie VTuber? If you're anything like me, you probably came across some bigger name VTubers, particularly probably corporate VTubers, since they get the most attention on YouTube. Maybe you stumbled across a clip or something like that, or you happened upon one of their streams. But even though it may feel impossible to work on the scale of a corporate VTuber, becoming an indie VTuber is still very accessible and doable, as long as you have like a bit of patience and you're willing to put a bit of money and effort into it, since even the lower budget options, it will cost you some money. That's just a thing of sort. So let's say you do want to go corporate in the end. Being an indie VTuber is still very relevant because when you're applying for many of these corporate roles, they are going to be looking for your experience in streaming and in content creation. And there's no better way to get experience than, actually doing it. Because while it can be very useful to watch other VTubers or other streamers see what they're up to, like there's nothing like actually doing it. So even if you want to be a corporate VTuber, being an indie is still very valuable. And when you apply for something like that, you can always include that I've been streaming for X amount of time as this persona, and that's great. So first, when you're starting out, I would say that creating your name and your branding is important. Of course, being unique is important, but most importantly, it has to be something that you can connect to personally or feel related to, or else you will have like a difficult time later. Because I've seen VTubers who go through various rebrands because the first persona that they created was not something that they liked. I know it can be tempting to go for the more popular kind of character designs. So for example, I don't know, a character with pink hair, you might feel like it is something more likely to become popular, but I don't think that matters as much as seeing what connects to you yourself. So yeah, I would say take time figuring out your persona, what online name as a VTuber you wish to use, what you want to look like. So the next thing I wanted to talk about is what to do if you don't already have a design, or how you can create a design if you are not an artist or an illustrator. So personally, I do draw, but I know that there are a lot of people who don't, and there are several tools that will make it pretty helpful and easy for you to create your character. And the ones that I would recommend the most are Charrette and Picture. So Charrette is a character creation website. They have several templates that you can use, but I think the most useful for creating a full body design would probably be this one. This is one of their first makers, character makers, and they have a lot of different features that you can pick from. And I think that playing around with the different options that you have here can be pretty helpful for seeing what you want to do. So the other one is Piku. Piku is a website where different artists can create their own makers. So instead of Share It, which is like a centralized site, Piku is like contributed to by various independent artists. So there are a lot of really nice Pikus out there because there's a lot of great artists out there. And the same thing goes for Piku and Share It, which is just that it gives you a good sense of what kind of creator what kind of character that you would like to go for. So yeah, I would definitely recommend. It helps give you a sense of your character, and if you do end up commissioning something for this character, this is a very useful way to get a reference, because most artists prefer to have a visual reference rather than just having you say like, I have a character with, you know, X hair color, X eye color, and also for more unique features, having these character maker things will make it more useful. So the next thing I would recommend doing is getting a sense of your color palette before anything else. Because when you do start streaming, for example, you will need various different assets. So for example, if you take a look at any Twitch channel, you might scroll down under About, and you would see that they have Twitch panels. And usually these Twitch panels are having the same color theme as the character. Same thing goes for the stream overlays. If you don't know what a stream overlay is, it's basically just the frame, if you will, around a stream. It's very common to see. I mean, it's very common for streamers to have stream overlays, especially if you're a VTuber. So, for example, this is mine. It was made for me by, I commissioned it from a friend of mine called Bin. Would definitely recommend. And yeah, so the next step would be creating an account on Twitter and I'd say Twitch and YouTube. Regardless of which site you do end up streaming on, you might want to try out a post in the end. And a word about Twitter. Twitter can be a very toxic place, I'm very well aware, since I've been using it for an extended period of time. But it is quite important, mostly just for socializing or for networking, because as an indie VTuber, you will be in charge of basically, you know, promoting yourself, talking about yourself, sharing about what makes yourself special, connecting with people, connecting with other creators, seeing what they're up to. And Twitter is like the best place for that at the moment. Threads is becoming more popular as I speak, but I'm not sure how that will go. And Twitter has been sort of like a mainstay social media platform for VTubers for many years. So would definitely just recommend getting a Twitter first. And if you manage to do it, it would be a great idea to make sure that you have the same name on different platforms, because that makes it easier to find you. And I myself have already broken this rule because my main name was taken on Twitter, but it's alright. You can just do your best, but otherwise, don't worry about it. Okay, so the next thing is getting a model. So there are different types of models. So most commonly, you would see a live 2D model. So a live 2D model is the one that I'm using right now, as you can see. And basically how it works is, it is an illustration with different artworks, with different layers in the artwork. And each layer has been rigged, which is to say, they're made to move differently based on how you yourself move. So, for example, you would see that my ears above me are rigged to move when I blink. So that is what a live 2D model is. And it's called a 2D model because it's basically, despite how it looks sort of 3D, for example, when I look this way or this way, you can see my cheek on my hair. So my hair on the right, on my right, wait a second. Basically the hair in the front looks like it's closer to you. But what it really is just a collection of layers of artwork, which is like layers of PNGs. So it's still a 2D artwork in the end, but obviously very good rigging can make it look very 3D, just like how mine is. So that's a live 2D model. So a 3D model is, well, it's self-explanatory. It's a 3D model. So I've attached a clip here of when I streamed with the 3D model. The tracking can be more versatile, if you will, because unlike a live 2D model, it is actually a 3D model, So the front and the back of the model all exist. So for example, well, in comparison to this live 2D model, there's like a certain limit to how far I can turn to the left. So you can see it cuts off over here. And even if I turn around, my model won't be able to because there's no actual backside to this model. But with a 3D model, if you have, for example, full body tracking, you would be able to use that model for that. And the other kind of model, which is very underrated in my opinion, is a PNGtuber, or a GIF tuber. So it's basically a reactive image that changes when you talk. So I have attached an example here. This is one of PNGtuber that I made for myself. So as you can see, the image changes when I talk. And yeah. So I would recommend getting a lower budget option first, because when you first start out VTubing, you're not sure if you will enjoy it or not. And I think dumping thousands of dollars into it at the very first stage is not the smartest idea. And me, myself, and many other friends I have, we started out as PNGtubers. And even now, I still revert to PNGtubing when, for example, I feel more tired, or when I just feel lazy, or when I have something else I'm doing and, you know, tracking won't work that well. So it is always a lower budget option to have to get a PNGtuber. So if you remember what I said earlier about share it, you can't actually use the image from share it as a PNG for PNGtubing. And I have friends who have actually done this. Otherwise, you can commission a PNG. There are also other pre-created PNGtuber adoptables that you might see. Here are a few recent ones that I've seen, but you can probably find new ones just by searching PNGtuber or something of the sort on Twitter. Okay, so let's say you started PNGtubing and you want to start using a live 2D model. So live 2D models are notoriously expensive, and I think that is very reasonable because there's a lot of work that goes into creating a live 2D model. Whether you're the illustrator or the rigger, it takes a lot of work, and I'm very well aware of this because I've tried rigging myself. Definitely not something I'm good at. And the same thing goes for illustrating. Because you're separating a model into several different parts, like I said, you have to separate a different layer for every single thing. So for this model here, the side hairs are all rigged separately. That means they're all different. They're all drawn on different layers. And because of all this work that goes into live 2D models are very expensive. So an option that I would say for people who are still starting out is customizable live 2D models. So there are live 2D models out there where it is pre-made, pre-rigged, but there's customizations that you can make to the model. So I'll show a few on screen right now, and I'll also attach them in the description below. But basically, as you can see, it's the same model, but you can change the hair color, for example, or other features based on your own design. So this is a more low-budget way of getting a live 2D model. So this can be a good way, sort of, to transition. For example, if you're deciding if you're still wanting to commission someone or not, or if you're just waiting for your commission to come back, because it does take some time. So regarding 3D models, you can make your own 3D model for free in VRoid, as I've done. So this model only took around like 15 to 20 minutes to make, and it still looks really nice. And it could be a good way to try out 3D. You can, of course, for a higher budget option, commission 3D, just like how you can commission a live 2D model. There are many talented 3D artists out there who do offer to commission. One other note on live 2D commissions, you will need to look for an artist and a rigger. So there are people who do both. And for this model, I found someone that does both. But it's quite common for people to only do rig ready live 2D models. So it will come as a .psd file. And then you will take that file and you will find a rigger. So make sure to keep that in mind, especially when you're thinking about your budget, because you're going to have to pay for the art and the rigging. Or both, if you find the same person to do both. Okay, so let's talk about starting to stream. So the most common platforms for streaming are Twitch and YouTube. So that would be twitch.tv or youtube.com. So let me talk about a bit about both. Personally, I've only streamed on Twitch, but I do use YouTube as like a video platform. But I don't know it as well as I do Twitch. But basically, there are some differences between the two. So Twitch is only a streaming platform, or primarily a streaming platform. You can upload videos on the site, but the way that it's been configured, so for example, if you go to the home screen, you would get a bunch of recommended streams to you. So it's obviously geared towards streaming. So it is created for streamers, mostly. And YouTube, as you might probably already know, it started as a video platform. It's mainly made for uploading videos, and while you can also stream on them, the majority of the content on YouTube is still videos. So here are some of the pros and the cons of Twitch and YouTube. So Twitch, it is much easier to start monetization. So to become monetized on Twitch, you will need to become a Twitch affiliate. So there are several requirements that you need to hit to become a Twitch affiliate, but they're not very difficult. So from what I remember, you have to stream a certain amount of time and get 50 followers, I believe, and have 3 average viewers. So I'm not sure if this is entirely accurate, but I've attached the requirements on the screen. And as opposed to YouTube, you need much more to fulfill the requirements for monetization for streaming. So it is much more difficult to start on YouTube. So I would definitely recommend Twitch, just because of this reason. There are other reasons as well. So for example, after you monetize your YouTube or your Twitch respectively, you will be able to add emotes for your supporters to use. So emotes are just small emojis that you can use in the chat, respectively on Twitch or YouTube. One thing is Twitch allows affiliates to have animated emotes, but from what I know, YouTube does not allow animated emotes for anybody. So that's one bad thing about that as well. And regarding Twitch being a streaming platform, as opposed to YouTube being primarily a video platform, the discoverability on YouTube is much worse. So usually what you would need to do is, for example, you build a following on Twitter, and you notify everyone on Twitter that I'm streaming here on YouTube. So you link to the YouTube stream externally from an external source. But on Twitch, there's a tag system, so you can tag your stream as up to 10 tags. And you can also tag the stream with the game that you're playing or whatever you're doing. So for example, just chatting, alright, or I don't know, Pokemon. And people can look in those directories for those games or those categories, and they'll be able to find your stream. So the discoverability is a bit better in my opinion. So again, for that reason, I would recommend Twitch. But there is one good thing about YouTube as opposed to Twitch. So when you stream on YouTube, your VOD, basically that means the record of your stream can stay on your channel. Hypothetically, it can be there forever. But on Twitch, they will remove your VOD after 2 weeks, I believe, for affiliates. So if you want to keep them, you have to download them yourself. And that means that you have a bunch of files on your computer, which is basically what I have. So it helps to have YouTube being able to keep things on your YouTube channel for you without you having to download them every single time. So a way around this would be to create a VOD channel on YouTube just for uploading, stream records on Twitch. And I know people who do this, but it's just nice that YouTube does this for you. But yeah, whether you prefer Twitch or YouTube, both can work. Yeah, and there have also been recent alternatives. I believe that there is a streaming site called Kick. I'm not sure if how that is going, but that is heavily based on Twitch. And there are probably other streaming platforms as well, but I'm not that familiar with them. But I would say Twitch and YouTube are the main ones. Let's talk about actually streaming. So what programs are you going to need? You're going to need, I would say mainly 2 or 3. So the main program that I would recommend for streaming is OBS Studio, and it is a free program that basically allows you to stream. There are more tutorials out there on how to set up OBS, but it is something that makes streaming much easier. So you can preview your stream, for example, inside of OBS before it goes live. And you can also set up, various images in your stream, like what do you want in your background, like what do you want in front of your model, what things do you want to be showing, other than, your game or whatever. There's also Twitch integrations within OBS. So for example, you can have your Twitch activity feed inside of your OBS. So your activity feed is basically when you can see everyone that's followed you, or someone who's done like who's gifted a subscription for your channel. It's all in your activity feed. You can also integrate your Twitch chat inside of OBS, so you can see your chat on your stream without opening, a browser or whatever. So yeah, would definitely recommend OBS Studio. And for Live 2D, if you have a Live 2D model, you are going to need VTube Studio. VTube Studio is a free program that you can get on Steam. Now there is a way that you can pay for more features, but it is absolutely not necessary. There's a watermark on the bottom left of the program if you are just using it for free, but you can easily crop that out. Either, by moving around the source of the program, or just by cropping it out. There's a crop feature inside of OBS. It's under properties. And so the other thing that you might want is a chat widget. So basically allows your Twitch chat or your YouTube chat to show up on the stream itself. So you can use stream elements for this. There are free templates for this, I think, but you can always change the text font or whatever. And the last thing is having a stream overlay. I've actually created a thread on Twitter before with a lot of free stream overlays, so you can definitely check that out. But you can always find free stream overlays just on Twitter or on Booth, which is basically a Japanese site. Links to the illustration site Pixiv, which you might have heard of. But basically, it's like an online marketplace for artists to sell their stuff, but there's a lot of free things on there. So you just take a bit of a look. And yeah, you can always create your own stream overlay with free programs. I would recommend ufunky.com. It's like a free website. Or you can use PixArt, which is a mobile app. It does have a script. I mean, both of these things do have subscriptions, but you can use them for free. Or you can always commission someone to do stream overlays for you. So yeah. So a word of final advice, since this is getting pretty long, I would recommend just to have fun with it. Don't stress about it too much. Don't be too much of a perfectionist, because things are not going to be perfect. As I've already grown to know, as long as you're having a good time, that's what matters. And I wish you good luck. I have attached on the description a list of artist friends that I have who have commissions open for various things. So please do go and check them out. And yeah, thank you, and good luck.